DSSC meeting. I'd like to start with an acknowledgement of country. Central Coast Council acknowledges the Palawapakana people as the traditional custodians of La Truita, Tasmania, including the land, community, sea and waters where we live and work. Our community respectfully acknowledges the Palawapakana tribe of the Northern Country of Tasmania, their continuing relationship to this land and their ongoing living culture. We recognise we have much to learn from the First Nations peoples who represent one of the world's oldest continuing cultures, and we pay our respects to elders past and present and to all First Nations peoples living in and around the Central Coast community. So we move straight on to confirmation of the minutes 1.1. Can I have somebody move that they be confirmed?
So move, me.
Thanks, Councillor. So I can just second it, Councillor Viney. Any queries on those minutes? No, I'll put the motion. All those in favour?
Aye.
Against? Carried. 2.1 is Mayor's communications. Can I have somebody move that that report be received? Thanks, Councillor Fuller. Second, please. Councillor Viney. I'll put the motion. All those in favour?
Aye.
Against? Motion is carried. 3.1 is declarations of interest. Anybody wishing to declare interest? No. And 4.1, I'll adjourn the meeting so that we can discuss the development application, which is a residential multiple dwellings by 12 and demolition of outbuildings at 67 Stubbs Road, Turners Beach. I'll open it up to discussion. Any comments, questions?
Well, Mayor, I don't have too many problems with this proposal. I take into account the comments of some of the objectors regarding bins. Now, right behind me is a large unit development, 34 units, but there's a turning circle in the middle of those units, big enough for the truck to go around and pick up all the bins. I think that this would not be possible in this case because it's a much smaller area. As mentioned in the report that the developers will widen the footpath so that people can put bins on the footpath and still allow pedestrians to go through. So I think that that is a good idea. But really, it's probably not that much different as it is in many places in the town. I mean, up in Main Street tonight, there's about 10 bins all in a row from one unit development. As a matter of fact, they didn't even leave meter in between, so I don't know how the truck gets on when he's trying to pick them up. But it's the other objectors that live in Explorer Drive, well, it is a main route into South Turners Beach. And I guess if you live in a residential area, you've got to expect, particularly an area like that's growing so fast, but you've got to expect some increase in traffic. And I don't think it's unreasonable. 12 units, I would imagine that they would be occupied mainly by older people, maybe one trip out in the car a day. That's 12 cars. It's not going to make a lot of difference. But so anyway, I'm going to support it.
We have to look at this on planning grounds, and I think the planning grounds are that it does actually meet the satisfies the general residential zone purposes, and representatives have all been answered adequately by the planner, so I can't see any difficulties with approving this development.
Thank you, Mayor. So obviously the issue there is the traffic movements and how it exceeds the table's recommended or acceptable solution. I suppose in order to measure something, there is always a measurement, isn't there? So in this case, it's the numbers that are up here there in table C 3.1, which give us a bit of guidance about what would be reasonable in a residential area to expect as far as traffic movements go. it's always interesting, isn't it, when you see those numbers? Because to me, they always look high. I always think, really, is there that many? So it's always higher than I think most households would be. However, there's traffic impact assessment report there that staff are satisfied with, and our own infrastructure services have put some conditions on it and have no issues there. So certainly a change in the amount of volume of traffic in that, as Councillor Van Rooyen said, that hot, fast growing area, but nothing on a planning ground that would allow me to vote against it. So I'll be supporting the staff's recommendation.
No, much the same, Mayor. Concur with the rest of the councillors. Nothing on the planning grounds, and we can perceive that they're all going to own a car, and that's how they've got to be judged on. But there might only be 50% own a car at the end of the day and drive in and out. But the scheme allows for strata titles and allows us to want infill as such. And I think it's just something that councillors going to have to look. I wouldn't say look forward to, but look at in the long-term vision that this could change a lot around our municipality when we get strata title units on some of these bigger blocks and have units, and there'll be problems with rubbish bins and problems with something else. But I think you've addressed it as best you can with the widening of the footpath. The movements are there, the impact study's been done, our guys have done. Preferably, I'd like to see all underground power in the future. That's one thing we could look at. And the other thing, Mayor, I take in all the representations here. It's not a shame or a pity. It's something we could look forward to in the future. We could find a better way of trying to communicate with the representatives without doing all this extra work over and over again, because I think you've answered it really, really well without coming back to a meeting for 5 or 10 minutes, which would save a lot of time and that, bits and pieces, I think, Mayor. But yeah, support the development.
There's nothing that I can add. I agree with all of you. With the bins, yeah, it doesn't look good, does it, when they're all lined up? But they're the same in town.
Yep.
And the only option sometimes when there's a lot of units together is to perhaps share some bins so that, not everybody fills them up all the time, but that's completely up to them, and it's not something that we can deal with here. So, yes, we'll go back into the meeting and I ask somebody to move the suggested resolution.
I'll move, Mayor.
Thanks, Councillor Van Rooyen. A seconder, please. Thanks, Councillor Fuller. You want to speak? Any more, Councillor Van Rooyen?
Well, no, Mayor, I don't think there's any much to add to what we've discussed just a while ago. So,
any other speakers? I'll put the motion. All those in favour?
Aye.
Against? The motion is carried. There being no other items, that brings us to the end of our meeting at 6:08.
Dusted. Done and dusted.
Thank you.